Hey, it's Rebecca, and you're listening to the Hike Like a Woman podcast. This is the weekly show where we talk about all things adventure travel, and I give you a little glimpse into the behind the scenes here at Hike Like a Woman headquarters. Thanks for joining me and enjoy today's episode. If you're hanging out with me on the pod today, it's because I think we're friends. I actually don't spend a lot of time scripting out podcast episodes or editing podcast episodes. It's kind of raw, unfiltered me. I like to think if we were just going out for coffee or to grab a drink after work, what would we talk about? And so this is a more, I guess, informal place just for me to talk about Hike Like a Woman and adventure travel and whatever I feel like talking about. But I want to start taking the podcast in a new direction. Lately, my focus has been on our YouTube channel and trying really hard to learn about YouTube, trying to become better at scripting and shooting and editing YouTube videos. I think that my focus has been so much on YouTube because ultimately the way I make a living is by guiding and leading women on incredible bucket list adventures all over the world. But I feel like no one's going to book a trip with me if you don't know what I look like, what I sound like, if you don't know that I'm a little weird, if you don't know that sometimes I tell dirty jokes and sometimes I drop F-bombs. I really want to make sure that I'm being authentic online so that when you book a trip with me and show up to Patagonia, you're like, oh yeah, I already feel like I know Rebecca because I watched her YouTube videos or because I listen to her podcast when I'm out on a walk or when I'm at the gym lifting weights. And I've been thinking of ways that I could kind of bridge the podcast and the YouTube channel, because right now the YouTube channel is the main effort and the podcast is the supporting effort to go back to my roots as an Army officer. Ultimately, main effort is YouTube, but I also want the podcast to feel relevant and fun and to tell really good stories. So what I thought would be fun to do with the podcast now is to deconstruct a recent YouTube video and to give you a behind the scenes, maybe a play-by-play or something, a story that did not make the cut in the YouTube channel because it wasn't good or because I felt like it might be too personal to share on that platform, and share that story with you here on the podcast. So you can, if you're a podcast listener, you can listen to the story and be like, that was cool. Maybe I should go check out Rebecca's YouTube channel, or maybe not. If that's your thing, then that's cool. Recently, I published a video and it talks about my social media sabbatical. Last year, I made the decision to remove all social media from my phone and all email from my phone from Thanksgiving until New Year. I am recording this episode at the end of January, and I still have not put email or social media back on my phone. And I feel pretty good about that. In fact, I'm not going to put email and social media back on my phone until I go to Iceland in a few weeks with our Iceland group trip. And then, of course, I'll put social media and email back on my phone so you can follow along the big adventure. But when I'm traveling, email and social is going to be on my phone with groups, not with my family. And then when I'm not traveling, no email, no social media. So I want to take you behind the scenes and share an experience about this that I did not share on my video. So if you've watched the video, listen to the end of this podcast, and then you can go watch the video or whatever. But what happened was in November, I started to notice a habit that I did not like and that I didn't think was super healthy. And my husband gets up every single morning at 5 a.m. religiously. He wakes up at 5 a.m. He works out, he meditates, he takes a shower, he eats breakfast. He has a very good, locked in morning routine. It doesn't matter if he's up super late. Doesn't matter if it's a Saturday morning. He's up at 5 a.m. working out and meditating. And I often wake up at 5 a.m. when he does. His alarm goes off and we're both awake. And I like to get a workout in too early in the morning before we wake the kids up and before they go to school. But I found myself waking up at 5 a.m. when his alarm goes off and just laying in my warm, comfortable, cozy bed, scrolling through Instagram, watching YouTube shorts, seeing what's going on Facebook. And then I would look down at my watch and it would be 6:30. And I would have spent an hour and a half laying in my warm bed, scrolling through social media instead of getting my ass out of bed and going to get a workout in. And I did not like that habit. I didn't like how much time I was wasting, even though it's so nice to just lay in a warm bed and let your mind wander as you scroll through social media. Like I enjoy that, but it was not a very good way to start my morning. Something else was happening that I do not talk about at all in the video. And that's that I was starting to feel a little bit stalked by a couple of individuals who, I not like creepy stalk, but I was starting to feel uncomfortable with the amount of comments and DMs that I was receiving from a couple people. And I would go in every day and I would hide posts, and it just felt like it could have escalated like this creepy situation. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But I'm in a good place with that right now. So if you feel threatened or like people are creepy and stalking you on social media, delete, block, report. Okay, so there's this stuff going on behind the scenes that I'm not super stoked about. I'm realizing how much time I'm spending on social media every day. I'm not feeling good with these people that are engaging with me on social media. It's just feeling weird. So I made the decision to just no more. So the rules of my social media detox were pretty simple. I was no social media on my phone, no email on my phone. And I was only going to check 10 minutes a day for social media and for email. I try to do that either when I start my workday or when I end my workday. And it's actually about 20 minutes now because I do want to respond twice a day, opening like start and whatever. I just said that. Anyway, getting redundant. Okay, so there was this tension, right? Like I'm just not feeling good about social media. So I give myself 10 minutes a day. And the results were amazing. I got my screen time down to just 8 minutes a day, which is huge. I set these boundaries. I felt really good about my boundaries. I felt like I was very present and aware. I was able to have really good conversations with my husband and my children because my face wasn't buried in my phone. And I also didn't publish any social media on the Hike Like a Woman channels during this time. And I was really worried that I would lose followers or whatever. And I did. But at the end of the day, I just didn't care because the people who are going to book a trip with me and who are going to, hang out with me online and in person, like the right people are going to find Hike Like a Woman. So it turned out to be this really powerful, like profound experience to really set those boundaries and to not deviate from the boundaries. And it just felt so good. So now here I am, almost a month after the challenge has ended. Those boundaries are still in place, but my thoughts have changed a little bit about social media, and they've changed in a way that's been really interesting. I never want to demonize screen time or social media because social media is how I've been able to connect with so many incredible women online who have then come and joined me for an in-person adventure. So I think that there is so much power in social media. But what I'm trying to do is to put the social back in social media. I want it to be just a fun, creative, quirky, weird place. And I want to make sure that real Rebecca is shining through on social media. And that's kind of that's my goal going forward. I enjoy social media, obviously, and hours every single day on social media because I do enjoy it. And I enjoy the creative process of like composing an interesting caption or trying to edit a really powerful video or come up with a quirky photo. I really enjoy that creative process and that creative outlet. So that's what I'm trying to do with social media is get back to the creative, fun, part of it instead of the stressful algorithm, creepy stalker part of social media that just happens as you gain a larger digital platform. So if you have not watched our video all about my social media detox, go check it out. You can find us on hikelikeawoman.com, or if you go to our website and search Hike Like a Woman or Rebecca Walsh, that channel's going to pop up. Go check it out if you do the YouTube thing. And if you don't, then just keep hanging out with me on the pod, because that is totally cool. So that's my thoughts, a little behind the scenes on my social media detox. Hey, thanks so much for being here, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye. Hey, if you've liked the show, I know you're going to love joining us for an upcoming group trip. Head on over to our website, hikelikeawoman.com. Hey, if you've liked the show, I know you're going to love joining us for an upcoming group trip. Head on over to our website, hikelikeawoman.com.